That is
Daniel,
that is
that's
out
hard.
of this world.
That's from
He'll
another
find it,
planet.
though.
Will he find it?
It
Because
is,
knight
but so is
d7 feels like a
Magnus.
move that you want to make.
A move so good, the commentators think Magnus Carlsen must be an alien if he finds it. This is the chess.com classic, and it's one of the early games in this incredible match between Magnus, world number 1, and Alireza Firouzja, his young opponent. Let's check it out. Magnus with white, kicking off with d4. We get knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, d5. We're in a Queen's Gambit declined, and Magnus Carlsen goes for his favourite pawn g3 Catalan. And very few people know this, but the opening is actually named after a chess playing cat called Alan. Very deep theory here. We get check from Alireza. Magnus blocks. The bishop drops back. What is Alireza playing at? Losing 2 tempos. Well, that bishop belongs on f4 for white. So you're going to have to spend a move to get it there. Or it goes to b2 in some lines. But this is the point. You've now lost a load of time if you want to go for that plan. So bishop g2, Magnus fianchettos, singing in his best Italian accent as he does so. Castles played and queen c2. The pony left at home because the queen wants to cover the pawn. Knight bd7, castles, and Alireza sets up the rock solid party hat pawn formation. Who doesn't love a kid's birthday party? Awkward small talk with random parents. We get rook c1. This one still left back here, getting a bit left out the game now, feeling miserable, but we'll see why. Because after a5 from Alireza, space gain, a3, b6, Alireza setting up the old bathtub pawn formation, preparing to develop his sniper. Magnus now takes on d5. Pawn recaptures, and that c6 square as tender as a bare foot on a shingle beach. We see why the knight didn't yet develop. But Magnus doesn't jump in. If he's too premature, then bishop a6 comes, rook c8, the queen's offside. So he starts with bishop f4, bishop a6, scything down that key diagonal. Now knight c3, the knight gives a hooray as it enters the game. Rook c8 and the queen on c2, feeling more awkward than a 13-year-old at a school dance. It skedaddles, stays on the light squared complex. Rook c4, get out my territory. Alireza making inroads. Look at the progress. Queen b6 on the way. Other rook joining. b4 coming. This is dangerous. Magnus has to tiptoe carefully, and boy does he do so. He starts with e3 and like a ballerina waltzes his pieces onto the right squares. Bishop f1 coming. Rook goes. b5 under fire. So queen b6 covers. Also defends the loose bishop, but now bishop f1. Rook c6 and a4. Magnus just in time with everything. It's truly beautiful. b4, knight b5, a light squared iron grip. Alireza doubles the rooks. It looks like he's won the file, but aha, Magnus takes. You can't take with the queen, or there's knight a7. You go to Forktown, population Alireza, queen and rook. So that's why queen recaptures here. Sorry, rook recaptures. But now there's rook c1. And who's really won the file? The tables have turned. Now Magnus is threatening bishop c7. Nasty threat, hitting the queen and then preparing to take this pawn. The rook and knight support the pressure. So what does Alireza do to respond? Knight e8. A miserable move, but necessary to cover the key square. h4 from Magnus, securing his bishop here. It can't move anywhere, stuck on its own pawns, but it's safe for now. h6 and h5. Magnus using both sides of the board as his canvas. Bishop b7, Alireza tied in knots. Knight d2 now opens this queen and its mastery, because the knight no longer threatens to hop to e5. So that's why Alireza now goes knight d to f6, pressures the pawn, but watch where this is headed. Bishop e2 does some protection in case of rook captures, queen distracted. Now knight e4 and test your positional skills. How would you play here? What's the right way to go? Would you capture the knight? If you would do that, then it is not a good move. The wrong way. Strike yourself with a wooden stick for not being positionally trained like every Russian schoolboy. If you take that knight, pawn recaptures, you've extended the scope of this bishop and freed up the d5 square for a knight to come and sit there. So knight b3, the best move. Knight f3 also good, or bishop d3, just don't take. And there's a threat now, because some lines here, Magnus is taking the rook, and then if the queen's ever distracted, the a pawn drops. So that's why bishop d8, x-ray defending, but it's very miserable. f3 from Magnus, driving back the knight, and he now plays a move that Daniel Naroditsky described as an alpha move, king to g2. Lovely stuff, king safety, covering the light squared complex from the knight hops. Alireza really in a bind. He goes knight f6 here, going after the loose pawn, but he's left the c7 square. g4, now the top engine move, but this is the moment where Magnus lays a trap. He hops in with his knight to this c5 square, and the best move here is bishop to a8. But Alireza, hook, line and sinker, takes the pawn on h5, looks to bag the bishop, but Magnus has landed himself a whopper. You can see the evaluation bar reacting on the left hand side. This is where the commentary team are saying this.
That is...
Daniel,
That is
that's
out
hard.
of this world.
That's from
He'll
another
find it,
planet.
though.
Will he find it?
It
Because
is,
knight
but so is
d7 feels like the
Magnus.
move that you want to make.
Surely Magnus won't find this move. Test your skills. Can you find the absolute best move for white? Very well done if you can. The move to play is silent but deadly. It's bishop to b8. Magnus finds it. It threatens bishop a7, trapping that black queen, and so rook c8 is forced. Not only hitting the bishop, but giving the queen a square on c6. You can now carry on with the threat, and we go down a different line here. You can also go f4, double attack and double attack, because you open up the bishop, but that's all to come. Magnus decides to go for this line, not the most optimal, but still good. Queen recaptures here, and now this one saves itself. The ladies leave the board, bishop recaptures, knight hit, retreating to e5, and Magnus now hitting this loose bishop. And this is his point. If black takes here, looks natural to gain the tempo, then pawn recaptures. This is key, because bishop a7's coming, b6, b7, b8. You're going to have to give up a minor piece. These knights stranded terribly offside. So that's why we didn't see takes. Alireza goes bishop e8, and now Magnus gets this f4 idea. Double attack on these knights. How do you defend them? Well, Alireza goes for this tricky move of pawn to f6. Defend one of them, counter-attack Magnus's. Now the Silicon Overlord says taking here is best, but Magnus goes knight d6. They're low on time, especially Alireza. This is online chess, by the way, in case I didn't mention. Rapid time control. That bishop attacked. You can now go knight e4. It's one option. Save that knight, then crash through here. But Alireza saves his bishop, picks up a pawn, very natural. Magnus has the chance to take. We see a pair of pieces leaving the board, and now both players go Pac-Man mode, picking up a whole bunch of pawns. And when the smoke clears, this isn't so easy to convert, because yes, Magnus is a minor piece ahead, but Alireza's got 2 pawns, and the b pawn is running dangerously, as we're going to see. So d4 attacked, defended by Magnus. King e7, now bishop c5, sets up some x-ray stuff. Yes, you can go king f6, but then there's other problems. So Alireza goes for bishop to c3. The red carpet rolled out, the b pawn on the way. but Magnus can check. Discovered check. King moves, now he picks up the bishop pair, shatters the pawn structure, but still this one isn't far away. King f2, hang on Magnus, you're way outside the box, not that you could ever step there. How are you stopping the pawn? Well, Alireza doesn't yet push it. Yes, he's threatening a queen in one move, but the bishop slides back. So instead, we get this one. Do not take those bishops off. Not to say it's losing, although I haven't checked it, but why activate this king in a huge way to come and support the pawn? Magnus does this. Much better move. Now we get c2. Alireza whistling, looking at the ceiling, setting a trap for Magnus, about to make the queen. Hope he doesn't see. It's like when you're losing terribly, but you try and back rank checkmate someone. Always act casual. Magnus sees it, blocks with his bishop. He's world number one for a reason. And now bishop e4, probably best, but it's all losing. This one was played, but now d5 blunts that black bishop, and in marches the king. And I love how Magnus is not headed this way. Instead, he's headed this way, covering the pawn, freeing this one up for action. These moves were played. Pawn recaptures, bishop d3, and if you go h3, carry on the advance, then there's check. Black loses the pawn. So king d8 steps out of dodge, but now Magnus takes here. h3, fine, but bishop d6 covers that key square. Alireza goes bishop a6. This one played. Now we see his point to cover this pawn. Bishop g3 back. This one about to push the d6 pawn, d pawn to d6, and how does the black king stop it? Look at the power of the bishop pair. a4 played, d6, and Alireza resigns the game. Why? Because if he carries on pushing the juicer, then Magnus can land this deadly check here. Look at the lasers. The king's only got one square. The pawn is forced through. This is of course game over. Here's one sample checkmate, the quickest one that Stockfish finds. Great game by Magnus Carlsen, but he did go on to not do as well in the match as he would have liked. If you want the full details on that, then check out the video on screen. Thanks a lot for watching. Do subscribe if you want to become a Grandmaster, and I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.